Hi, I'm Saehyun. I'm the co-regional director of the back-to-back Natick region, and in this video you will be learning about the orchestra and the different components of it, including the conductor, the string section, the woodwinds and brass section, as well as the percussion section. The leader of an orchestra is the conductor. The conductor has to study the score thoroughly before a rehearsal. An orchestral score is basically a collection of all the music of all the instruments in the orchestra, and it's the conductor's job to study it before the rehearsal, make decisions about interpretation, and also choose parts from the music to really focus on. During the rehearsal, it's the conductor's responsibility to adjust to the orchestra and to communicate the conductor's intentions clearly to the orchestra members so that the members can produce the sound that the conductor envisioned by looking at the score. In the performance, it's not only important for the conductors to do what they planned, but it's also important to be spontaneous and to inspire the musicians to play their best. It's really important as the conductor to bring something new and fresh from the musicians. And of course, conductors make many plans on how to make music, but in the end on the stage, it's also important as the conductor to inspire the members and be spontaneous, be in the moment. Typically, a conductor would use the right hand to conduct the beats and the left hand to show musical directions, maybe louder or softer or specific phrasings. And it's also common to show cues with the left hand to sort of point to specific instrument sections to come in at the right time. Now you will learn about the specific instrument families and the specific instruments within those families and their components from our back-to-back Natick region members.
Hello, my name is Chang. I'm a back-to-back member of the Natick region, and I'm a violinist, and I'll be explaining to you the components and structure of the violin. So, first, the top is the scroll, and it's a decorative top of the violin, and if you come down here, these are called pegs. And as you can see, there are 4 wooden pegs around which the strings are wound in here, which is called the peg box. And it's basically, they're used to tune the instrument's strings. Tightening a string would raise its pitch, while loosening a string would lower the pitch of the string. And next we have the neck, which connects the body of the violin into the peg box at the top of the violin. And then the black part here is called the fingerboard. And it's basically the surface where the fingers are pressed down on the strings to make different pitches. And then that leads to the 4 different strings that the violin has. And then from left to right, it's the G string, D string, A string, and then E string. And then these strings are usually made from steel, and they are strung over the fingerboard from the pegs. And if you come down here, there are 2 holes that are shaped like cursive Fs, kind of. And these are what you call F holes. And this is where sound emerges from the violin, which promotes resonance from the instrument. And then we have this fancy piece called the bridge, if you guys can see the bridge. And then it basically balances underneath the strings and transmits vibrations from the strings into the body of the instrument to create sound. And then if we come down here, this is the tailpiece, and it's made of wood, and it's where strings are attached on to the lower end of the violin, the lower end. And then finally we have this called the chin rest, and it's basically where you rest your chin to play the violin. And then finally, to get sound, we would have to use this, which is called the bow. And then this white part that you can see is hair, and it's made from horsehair, and it's rubbed against the string to produce sound.
In an orchestra, the violins play a very key role, as we have the largest amount of people in the entire orchestra. In a vast sea of violins, we are split between two sections, the first violins and the second violins. The first violins have the responsibility of carrying out the melody of a piece, which is often repeated back or accompanied by the winds and brass section. The second violins, however, have very, very big shoes to fill, as they are responsible for carrying out the rhythm of the violin section by having more supportive and accompanied lines in the orchestra. The number of violins in an orchestra is heavily dependent on what type of orchestra it is. For example, a string orchestra with only string instruments would have roughly around 5 to 10 violins in the entire orchestra, whereas a larger symphony orchestra would have more than 40 violins in the entire orchestra.
Hi everyone, my name is Jiyu and I'm the co-concertmaster of YPO, our orchestra. The concertmaster plays a significant role in the orchestra because they lead not just the first violin sections, but the entire orchestra. Usually before rehearsals, we would lead a tuning session, which is a time to tune all our instruments before starting the actual rehearsal so that we can all be in tune. Also, we talk and decide on fingerings and bowings with cooperating with the conductor or the section teachers. Most importantly, while playing in the concert, we try to lead the entire section and the entire orchestra so that we are all together. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Harold and I'm here to introduce to you the viola as an orchestral instrument. The viola is a member of the violin family and it's a bowed string instrument. It's played with similar posture and technique as the violin. However, the viola is a perfect tune to be a perfect fifth lower than the violin, and it's also a little bit bigger. Most violins are 14 inches for the length of the back, with fractional sizes for children. In the case of the viola, there really is no full size. Most violas tend to range between 15 to 17 inches, and the one I'm holding is a 16 inch. For a viola to be truly full size in proportion to the violin, it would have to be approximately 21.5 inches, but no musician can realistically play an instrument that big. Most symphonic orchestras tend to have about 12 violas in their section. However, this was not always the case. For example, in about Mozart's time, there were often about 4 violas, and in later Romantic periods, for some composers such as Mahler, there's pieces that can call as many as up to around 16 violas.
However, the size of the viola section can really be any size depending on the music or the availability of the musicians. It's in some orchestras may only have 1 or 2 violas for their purposes. In terms of the range, the lowest note a viola can play is C below middle C on the open string. In most orchestral works, the viola will go around 3 octaves above that, but it is capable of playing a bit higher as well.
Hi, my name is Jessica and I will demonstrate to you the viola. The viola is very similar to the violin except it's a little bigger. And the lowest string is C, and then it's G, D, and A. In the orchestra, there's only one section of the viola.
Hello, my name is Aranzabal and I will be presenting the cello. The cello is made up of multiple parts, such as the end pin, which is this metal rod here, which is used to hold up the cello when we sing. This is the body of the instrument. This blackboard here is the fingerboard. And of course we have the metal strings, which are A, D, G, and C. These 4 strings connect to 2 parts on the cello. They connect down here to the tailpiece, and they connect up here to the scroll. And on both the tailpiece and the scroll, there are these little knobs here and these larger knobs here, which are used to tune the instrument. What is also important in playing the cello is that the bridge creates tension on the string. It pulls the string upwards. You can see that there's an arch when the strings come into contact. So when we play the cello, if we use the bow, which is this metal stick with horsehair on it, if we pull the metal strings with the horsehair, we get this tone. And if we play close to the bridge, there's more tension and so there's more sound. Farther away from the bridge, there's less tension and less sound. Compared to the bass, the cello is much smaller and is played sitting down, typically, while the bass is typically played standing up. Also, the bass, the notes are lower in pitch. So what I mean by pitch is that this A string is higher pitch than this C string. And basses can play even lower than the cello C string. The low and high registers of the cello are utilized by composers to create unique sound qualities. On the low register of the cello, I'll play an excerpt from Ernest Bloch's Slow-Mo, in which he uses the lower pitch to create a kingly, stately quality. Another moment in Slow-Mo is when he uses the high register to create a wailing, singing voice. and basses typically provide support for the melody, which is often played in the violin section. There are approximately 10 to 16 cellos in an orchestra and around 6 to 8 basses in the bass section. Now, I will play for you an excerpt from Villa-Lobos's The Black Swan. I will now play for you my own arrangement of Bésame Mucho by Los Panchos. Bésame mucho, como si fuera esta noche la última vez. I hope you enjoyed learning about the cello, and thank you for watching.
Okay. This is a flute. It is one of the only instruments in the orchestra, in the wind section of the orchestra, that does not use a reed. The flute is also a very high instrument. Would you demonstrate for us a few notes on the flute? I do not play in the orchestra on an oboe, but this is an oboe. It is also a part of the wind section. It's part of the woodwind section. The instrument is a double reed instrument, meaning there's two pieces of wood that helps the instrument vibrate. Usually in an orchestra, the oboe is used for tuning. Can you please play an A? Thank you. Hi, this is the bassoon. It is also a part of the woodwind section. It is also a double reed instrument as well. The bassoon is a part of one of the only instruments in the lower winds. Can you play an excerpt for us? Hi, my name is Daniel, and I play the horn. The horn is a part of the brass family and is often used in the orchestra. We make a sound by buzzing to the mouthpiece and transfer it into the horn. There's usually 4 horns in the orchestra, but modern late romantic composers added even more horn parts.
Percussion instruments are a family of instruments in the orchestra that are played by striking or scraping them with various tools or hands. In the orchestra, they typically keep the rhythm and create special sound effects. One of the most common and most important percussion instruments in the orchestra is the timpani. The timpani is played with mallets and struck at the drum head, and the vibrations are sent through the shell to create sound. The timpani also has a tuning pedal that can change the pitch of the notes.
This is a marimba. A marimba has 3 main components: the tone bars, the frame, and the resonator tubes. A marimba is played with mallets, and marimba players typically use 2 mallets, 1 in each hand, or 4 mallets, 2 in each hand when playing the marimba. The range of the marimba spans from a low A to a high C. The marimba can be both a solo instrument and an orchestral instrument. This is a piano. Piano has both qualities of a percussion instrument and a string instrument. And the people who claim that the piano is a percussion instrument argue that since when a person hits the key, the hammer comes up and hits the metal string. And this is similar to the mechanism of other percussion instruments. Some composers who utilize this quality of the piano are Prokofiev and Shostakovich. And actually in Shostakovich's Fifth Symphony, the piano is part of the orchestra despite piano often being a solo instrument. Sometimes also be considered a string instrument because there's many metal strings inside the piano, but it is most commonly considered a keyboard instrument because it has 88 keys and 88 pitches. Despite some composers using the piano as a percussion instrument, the piano also has a lot of lyrical quality to it.
The celesta is another keyboard instrument similar to the piano, but instead of hitting metal strings, the hammers hit metal blocks and create a bell-like sound. It's used in pieces such as Tchaikovsky's Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy and John Williams' Harry Potter.